Ang Tindig ba ay kasama sa magfa-file ng impeachment complaint laban kay Pangulong Marcos?
Hindi ko siguro unahan po yung actions ng Tindig po. We will announce something when we're ready to announce something. Pero at least speaking personally na in terms of yung impeachment kay President Marcos, again, speaking personally, since I'm not really I can't speak on behalf of Tindig on this matter. I think definitely dapat maimbestigahan yung possible role ni President Marcos sa lahat ng mga corruption issues, both in terms of yung kung ano yung pinahintulutan niya in terms of yung budgets na pinasa niya the last few years, and in terms of yung hindi niya ginagawa. So yung mga hindi natupad na promises as far as Big Fish being arrested. This is happening kasi hirap talaga sila sa proseso, or is there something more going on? So kung impeachment man yung tamang proseso for investigating this, then I think that's something that we should get behind. No? As far as also on the topic of impeachment, as far as other cases, personally, tingin ko po unfinished business ko as one of the signatories ng impeachment complaint against VP Sara Duterte na dapat rin ma-pursue ito. So I think while we're not announcing anything and we'll announce something when we're ready, definitely tinitingnan po natin yung mga issues na ito.
Well, there was an impeachment complaint filed yesterday, and so this somehow this jumped the gun on the others, meaning they have to now, there's a timeline now involved. So sa tingin mo ba, itong naunang impeachment complaint ay para protektahan ang Pangulo?
I think si Rep. Egay Erice claims po no, na yung isa sa mga naghain ng impeachment complaint ay dating abogado ni First Lady Lisa Marcos. I don't know if that's confirmed, pero kung totoo nga po yun, then I think that calls into question yung motive ng impeachment na ito. Is this being done in the genuine interest of accountability, or ginagawa lang ba ito para ma-trigger yung technicalities ng impeachment? Para makalusot si President Marcos for 1 year. So I'm not sure what to make of that impeachment complaint. Definitely may ilang articles dyan na hindi ako sumasang-ayon. So isa doon yung kung impeachable yung pag-facilitate ng gobyerno dito sa pag-arrest ng Interpol kay President Duterte para madala siya sa INC. That's something I very strongly support. So I don't personally think that is impeachable. Pero kung yung kabuuan ng, in terms of yung kabuuan ng complaint, that's something that kailangan ko pang pag-aralan. But I do question yung motives ng personalities involved dito.
Tindig was very active and is still very active in the street protests because of the flood control fiasco. And so far, ano ba ang assessment ng Tindig, if you can speak for Tindig, sa nagawa na ng Marcos administration to hold these legislators or those responsible for billions of pesos lost in the flood control affair?
Malinaw na malinaw po na kulang pa yung ginagawa. No? So sa usapin ng Big Fish, I don't think that a former senator constitutes a sufficiently big fish. Kasi ang gusto nga nating maipakita sa ating mga kababayan ay na walang lusot dito sa issue ng korupsyon. Kung ano man yung posisyon mo, kung saan ka man sa lipunan, kung naging sangkot ka sa issue ng korupsyon, dapat maabutan ka ng batas, dapat maabutan ka ng ating sistemang pangkatarungan. And hanggat wala pa tayong nakikita, kung ang ginagawang mensahe ng Marcos administration ay na lusot yung mga nakaupo sa poder, lusot yung mga incumbent, I think kulang na kulang yun. And I think that can only mean na magpapatuloy pa rin talaga yung mga kilos protesta natin.
Feb 25, may magyayari ba? Of course, Ed, sa anniversary, some are already saying no, na magkakaroon daw ulit ng kilos protesta. But what are your thoughts on that? Tutuloy nyo ba? Kasi may mga nagsasabi na napapagod na raw yung mga tao no, na lumabas sa kalsada.
So again po, we'll announce something when we're ready to announce something, but definitely malaking araw ang People Power, 40th anniversary po ng People Power. Kung wala nga itong corruption issue ay busy po ako sa paghahanda niyan, pero syempre hindi mahihiwalay sa legacy ng people power, yung kasalukuyang corruption na nangyayari ngayon dahil corruption bukod sa paglabag sa karapatang pantao na ginawa ni Marcos Sr., yung napakalalang world record-setting corruption na nangyari nung panahon niya ay isang napakalaking cause na kinalaban ng people power. At saka nakikita nating nauulit yun ngayon. No? So definitely hindi natin palalagpasin yung pag-commemorate sa 40th anniversary ng People Power na wala yung pagkomento dito sa kasalukuyang issue. And kung ano yung magiging itsura nun sa mismong araw ng Feb 25 at sa mga pumapaligid na araw, we will be in the process of announcing that in the coming, our plans in the coming days and weeks po. Pero definitely, nakikita naman natin na yung araw ng People Power, yung People Power anniversary, espasyo yan talaga para hindi lang alalahanin yung tagumpay natin noong 1986 pero ihambing yung kasalukuyang sitwasyon natin doon sa mga aspirations ng mga Pilipino nung panahon ng 1986. And given na at various points, but especially at this point, we're falling short of that ambition. I think that's a space for people to come out and make it known that in the end, nasa atin pa rin yung kapangyarihan. And again, mukhang paulit-ulit natin kailangang i-remind sa ating mga politiko na hindi sila yung may totoong kapangyarihan dito sa sistema natin.
Okay, wait, Kiko. What caught me was the beginning of your answer. You said, kung hindi lang ako sobrang busy, ito yung Feb 25 rally will be top of your agenda. So, what could be bigger than a Feb 25 rally that is on top of your
I might have
agenda?
misspoke po. What I meant po was that even if this corruption issue weren't around, I would still be very busy preparing for the 40th anniversary of People Power.
Okay.
Pero dahil nga nandito rin yung corruption issue, it's definitely figuring out figuring out how to present it na on the one hand, napakalaking milestone yung 40th anniversary ng People Power. And hindi rin pwedeng i-downplay yung nakamit natin yung panahon na yun, na yung isang diktador na na bumawi sa ating karapatan na maghayag ng malaya, na mag-elect ng ating mga politiko, na palayas natin sa isang mapayapang paraan. Isang napakalaking bagay yun on its own, and that deserves its own attention. But also, at the same time, hindi pwedeng ihiwalay ito sa corruption issue na hinaharap natin ngayon. And figuring out how to present both of these things, do justice to both of these things, yun po yung pinoproblema po natin.
But Kika, I wanted to get your assessment on the Blue Ribbon Committee hearing yesterday. It finally resumed after weeks of waiting. New witnesses, personalities were introduced. But for you, was there anything new and substantial that was revealed yesterday? Or are you also getting the sense, like some other people, that there is an attempt to cover up certain personalities?
I think I'm not ready to make a judgment on the resumption of the hearings just on the basis of one hearing. But medyo I would agree with the assessment na medyo yung highlights ng Blue Ribbon na napansin natin, it's a lot of the grandstanding as opposed to yung substantive findings, no. So andun yung very what's the word? Yung inappropriate statement ni Curly Discaya. That's the kindest way to put it, na nakaka-trigger talaga yung sinabi niya na parang sila yung ninakawan. So syempre, that got people's attention. Yung opening statement ni Senator Lacson, also na parang muntik na siyang gumamit ng expletive. I think that got attention. Yung theatrics na maraming naka-mask and nagtatago ng identity, I think that got a lot of attention. Pero in terms of mas alam ba natin kung ano yung nangyayari sa pera ng taong bayan, I think we didn't get quite as much of that as we would have wanted yesterday. But again, I'm not ready to pass judgment on Senator Lacson's handling of the Blue Ribbon Committee solely on that day. Kasi nakita naman natin in yung previous hearings ng Blue Ribbon Committee, meron naman tayong natutuhan. Yung issue ng on-program funds ay na-highlight dahil sa Blue Ribbon Committee hearings ni President Lacson. And while kulang yung while we would have wanted to see unprogrammed funds completely removed from the 2026 budget, and the budget definitely falls short on that count. At least nasa kamalayan na natin at nasa kamalayan ng ating mga politiko na hindi lang pwedeng itago yung corruption nila ng basta-basta dito sa unprogrammed appropriations. So I think that sort of parang taking off from that potential. I hope we see more out of the current status of the Blue Ribbon Committee. Pero in terms of yung developments yesterday, I didn't note anything too consequential dun sa mga lumabas.
What about in terms of a big fish? Do you believe na kahit papano nahuli na yung ilan sa kanila? We're talking about former Senator Bong Revilla, who is now under the custody of authorities, and even former DPWH officials Bryce Hernandez and JP Mendoza.
Again, I think yung pag sinasabi ng mga tao big fish kasi, I think yung at least para sa akin, kung paano ko yan ino-operationalize, kailangan incumbent official siya. So, incumbent elected official. And the reason why is bukod sa sila yung mas nasa kamalayan ng mga tao. Again, I think the message that it would send for say for a sitting senator or a sitting congressman or a sitting former speaker to be arrested and to face the justice system beyond the current issue, ang sinasabi nun is contrary sa talagang inisip ng mga kababayan natin or kinatatakutan ng taong bayan natin ay kung sufficiently high ka sa ladder ng gobyerno natin, immune ka na sa lahat ng pananagutan. Ang gusto nating makita ay yun, humarap sa mga kaso yung mga matataas na incumbent officials. And let's figure the truth out with respect to these cases. Let's make sure na hindi sila exempt sa sistema natin. Kasi I think yun yung gusto natin as far as big fish is concerned. So kung meron na bang sufficiently big fish or meron na bang big fish na na-arrest, tingin ko kulang. While definitely better than nothing, yung pag-arrest kay former Senator Revilla, parang hindi rin siya substitute for holding the currently powerful accountable.
Dagdag ko lang, no, Kiko, kasi marami ring nagbabatikos dun sa fact na so far yung mga tinanggap pa lang as sa witness protection program or to be state witness are all government officials. Some people are saying, nababasa ko to online, na parang sila rin din pala kasi kaya daw silang i-control ng mga nakaupong official. Do your group and you share the same sentiment na parang bakit sila lang?
Ako, mas yung pinag-isipan ko po yung ano yung standard natin to identify a state witness. And again, parang medyo top of mind, pasensya na I'm drawn to the big shiny thing, pero top of mind ko po yung reklamo ni Curly Discaya kung bakit parang force siyang magsauli ng pera para masama sa state witness program. And I think the standard being applied to him should be the standard applied to all. Na ang tanong, credible ba yung taong to? At kung credible yung taong to at willing siyang makipag-cooperate sa investigasyon, sige, gawin siyang state witness. Pero yung senyales na credible sila ay yung pag-amin na, okay, naging ako. Kasi kung hindi ka naging sangkot at wala kang kailangang isoli na pera, bakit ka pa kukunin as state witness? Kasi ano yung alam mo kung wala kang ginawang mali, di ba? So in the case of sina Alcantara, at least, siguro not to say that this is a perfect judgment, pero at least sa parte nila, may pag-amin sila na naging sangkot ako. And therefore I had to return this amount kasi inaamin ko na alam ko yung alam ko dahil naging sangkot ako. And to establish credibility, meron akong sinusole. So I think in terms of that standard, sana masunod yan sa lahat. And not to say that porque nagsauli ng pera sina Henry Alcantara and et al. Pwede nang kunin at face value yung mga sinasabi nila. But I think it's important na yung standard na yan, na dapat credible yung mga state witnesses natin, should be applied to all.
Kiko, we may face a historic first where two of the top officials of the country will be facing impeachment. So what does this tell us about the state of leadership politics in the country?
So siguro siguro the immediate short term is I think that's parang constitutional gray area ata yan. I don't know if the Constitution contemplates a case na dalawa yung fina-filean, but as I was listening to Representative Rene Co
Yes.
earlier, and mukhang naman may kumpiyansa naman siya na parang yun kaya naman ng ating Justice Committee to figure out how to deal with those things. But I think it would be interesting to see kung paano or it's not just interesting, pero it's important to see kung paano nila ipoprocess yung yan. Pero in terms of yung kalagayan natin, At the risk of sounding partisan, I think parang there are those of us in the country that feel that don't find this that surprising, no? Na parang hindi kami nagtataka na talagang dahil nasa pinamumunuan tayo ng isang Marcos Jr. na ipinagmamalaki niya yung corrupt na administration ng kanyang tatay na naulit yung korupsyon. At hindi rin tayo nagtataka na ang vice-presidente natin ay isang Sara Duterte na bukod sa ine-endorso niya yung mga pang-aabuso na nangyari nung panahon ng tatay niya, ay siya mismo ay may pang-aabuso rin ginawa sa kanyang panunungkulan. I don't think it's that surprising na nandito tayo ngayon. And I think parang the decisions that we made, the decisions that all of us made as a people have consequences that we're visiting now. And yet, it's also the decisions that we'll make in the coming days that will get us out of this problem. So sana ang makita natin definitely hindi magandang bagay na yung dalawang dapat pinagkakatiwalaan na opisyal sa ating bansa, yung presidente at vice-presidente, ay humaharap sa impeachment. Pero siguro ang senyales na lang yan ay kung hindi tayo natutuwa sa uri ng liderato na umuupo sa poder ngayon. Yung sistema natin ay nagbibigay sa atin ng pagkakataon na magbago ng ating leadership pagdating sa mga elections. And again, I think that ties into the People Power Anniversary na pinag-usapan natin, na kung dati before 1986, from 1972 to 1986, wala tayong say kung hindi tayo sang-ayon sa pamumuno ng ating presidente. 1986 changed that, pero ang ibig sabihin nun, responsible tayo for electing leaders that have the welfare of the people at heart. And I think neither President Marcos nor Vice President Duterte passed that standard.
Thank you for your time, Kiko Aquino D., co-convener of Tindig Pilipinas.